Los Angeles, California. Venice Beach Boardwalk, summer 1970. A cocky martial arts instructor was about to make the biggest mistake of his career. The confrontation captured on amateur film that day remained in private collections for decades, because those who witnessed that moment knew this wasn't just another beach argument or ego clash. This was real. This was karma. This was a supposed master picking a fight with someone he thought was just a random bystander, only to discover too late he'd challenged Bruce Lee. What you're about to hear is a story that only a handful of people can confirm. A story about arrogance meeting reality. A story about assumptions, humiliation, and the moment a martial arts instructor learned that not everyone at the beach is just a tourist. If those cameras hadn't been recording that afternoon, this moment would have been dismissed as an impossible story. Some say it was the most embarrassing moment in martial arts history. Others claim it was instant karma captured on film. But one thing is certain. What happened on that Venice Beach boardwalk on that sunny afternoon would become legendary, precisely because the challenger had absolutely no idea who he was fighting. This is that story. The year was 1970 and Bruce Lee was at a crossroads. He had completed the Green Hornet years earlier, but was still struggling to break through Hollywood's barriers against Asian actors. He was teaching private students, refining his Jeet Kune Do philosophy, and waiting for the opportunity that would eventually become Enter the Dragon. He had achieved fame in martial arts circles, but remained relatively unknown to the general public. And so Bruce found himself at Venice Beach on a Saturday afternoon, enjoying anonymity. Just another person walking the boardwalk in casual clothes, sunglasses hiding his identity, watching the street performers and enjoying the California sun. The Venice Beach Boardwalk in 1970 was a circus of performers, artists, bodybuilders, and hustlers. Muscle Beach attracted serious athletes. Street performers did demonstrations for donations. Con artists ran various scams. And martial arts instructors set up informal schools on the sand, offering to teach techniques or demonstrate their superiority for a fee. Among these boardwalk martial arts instructors was a man who called himself Master Chen, though his real name was David Chen. A second-generation Chinese-American who'd studied some Tang Su Do and decided he could make money teaching tourists and challenging locals. He was 32 years old, stood about 5'10", weighed 180 pounds, and had built a reputation for being aggressive and confrontational with anyone who questioned his credentials. Master Chen's routine was simple and profitable. He'd set up on the beach with some training equipment, do impressive-looking demonstrations of breaking boards and bricks, attract a crowd, then challenge anyone who looked skeptical. Most people walked away. Some tourists paid for lessons. Occasionally, someone accepted the challenge, and Master Chen would use his superior training to dominate them in front of the crowd, further building his reputation and attracting more paying students. And if you're watching this story and learning about the time a fake master challenged Bruce Lee without knowing who he was, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is the kind of instant karma story that proves you should never judge someone by their appearance or assume you're the toughest person around. Bruce was walking past Master Chen's demonstration area when he paused to watch, not because he was impressed, but because he was curious about what was being taught. As someone dedicated to authentic martial arts, Bruce was always interested in seeing what others were doing, even street performers. Master Chen noticed Bruce watching and immediately read it wrong. He saw a small Asian man, maybe 140 pounds, wearing casual beach clothes and sunglasses, looking unimpressed. To Master Chen, this was perfect. A skeptical observer who looked easy to dominate. Making an example of this guy would impress the 20 or so tourists watching. Master Chen called out to Bruce in a loud voice designed to attract more attention. "You there! You look like you don't believe what you're seeing. You think this is fake." Bruce remained quiet, just watching, not particularly interested in engaging with a boardwalk hustler. But Master Chen saw the silence as weakness and pressed harder. "I can tell you're judging me. Probably think you know martial arts better than I do. probably trained in some traditional style that doesn't work in real situations. The small crowd was growing, people sensing confrontation, the eternal beach entertainment of watching someone get called out. Bruce removed his sunglasses, and a few people in the crowd gasped with recognition. But Master Chen wasn't looking at the crowd. He was focused on Bruce, seeing what he wanted to see, a target. "I'll tell you what," Master Chen announced loudly. "Since you're standing there looking skeptical, why don't you step up? Let me demonstrate some real techniques on you. Nothing dangerous, just showing these folks what real martial arts looks like." Bruce smiled slightly, the expression people who knew him recognized as amusement mixed with pity. "I don't think that's necessary. I was just watching," Master Chen laughed, playing to the crowd. "Of course you don't think it's necessary. Because you know I'd embarrass you. You probably took some kung fu classes and think you're tough, but you've never faced a real master." The crowd was murmuring now, some people trying to tell Master Chen who he was challenging, but he wasn't listening. And his ego and his routine had taken over. "Come on," Master Chen pressed. "One simple demonstration. You try to hit me. I'll show these people how a real martial artist defends and counters, unless you're afraid." Bruce looked at the crowd, many of whom were now filming with personal cameras, understanding or doubted this was about to become memorable. Then he looked back at Master Chen. "One attempt. I'll try to strike you. You defend however you think best. But afterward, we're done. No extended fighting, no challenges. Agreed?" Master Chen grinned widely. "Agreed. This will only take a few seconds anyway. And if you're enjoying this story about instant karma, about a fake master challenging someone he thought was random, hit that like button because it helps more people discover these true accounts of Bruce Lee teaching humility to people who desperately needed it." They moved to the center of the cleared area. Master Chen took an elaborate fighting stance, hands up, bouncing slightly, looking very impressive to the tourists who didn't know any better. Bruce stood naturally, arms at his sides, looking relaxed and casual. No stance, no obvious preparation. Master Chen saw this, and his grin widened. "Not even going to take a fighting stance? This is going to be even easier than I thought." Bruce's response was quiet. "Whenever you're ready to defend." Master Chen set himself, ready to demonstrate his superior blocking and countering. "Ready when you are, small man." What happened next occurred so fast that most of the crowd missed it entirely. Even though several people were filming, Bruce's hand moved from his side in a straight line toward Master Chen's face. Not a wind-up punch, not a telegraphed strike, just a direct linear motion that covered the distance in what seemed like zero time. Master Chen's eyes went wide. He tried to react, tried to bring his hands up to block, tried to do something. But Bruce's fist was already touching his face, stopped maybe half an inch from his nose, before Master Chen's hands had even begun moving. The crowd gasped. Master Chen stood frozen, his hands still, halfway to blocking position. Bruce's fist perfectly positioned to have broken his nose if Bruce had chosen to follow through. Bruce held the position for maybe 2 seconds, letting everyone see it clearly, and letting Master Chen feel the absolute helplessness of being completely defenseless. Then he withdrew his hand and stepped back. The crowd erupted in applause and laughter. Several people were shouting Bruce Lee's name, the recognition spreading through the gathering. Master Chen's face went through several emotions in rapid succession: shock at what had just happened, recognition as he heard the name being shouted, horror as he realized who he'd challenged, humiliation as he understood everyone had just watched him get completely dominated by someone he'd called out as weak. If you've made it this far in the story, if you're still engaged and learning about this moment of instant karma, leave a comment below telling me what you would have done if you were Master Chen in this situation. Would you apologize, double down, run away? Well, I read every comment and want to know your thoughts. Bruce put his sunglasses back on, preparing to leave. But Master Chen's ego wouldn't let it end there. Even humiliated, even knowing who Bruce was now, his pride demanded he say something. That was lucky. If we'd actually fought, if you'd thrown a real strike with power, I would have blocked it. The crowd went silent. People couldn't believe what they were hearing. This guy had just been completely embarrassed, and he was still making excuses. Bruce turned back, his voice calm, but carrying an edge now. You want a real strike, with power. Master Chen's survival instincts were screaming at him to shut up, but his ego was louder. Yes, a real strike, not just touching my face. Let's see if your speed works when you're actually trying to hit. Bruce nodded slowly. Step back. Give yourself more reaction time. Master Chen stepped back 3 feet, setting himself again, determined to prove he could defend against a real attack. Bruce settled into a proper stance this time, showing Master Chen the respect of treating this seriously. Are you ready? Master Chen nodded, his whole body tense, every muscle prepared to react. Bruce's right hand flicked out in a back fist strike toward Master Chen's temple, faster than the first strike, moving in a blur that the amateur's cameras filming could barely capture. Master Chen saw it coming this time. He was ready. He moved to block, and Bruce's left hand, which had started moving at the same moment as the decoy right hand, struck Master Chen directly in the solar plexus with a focused palm strike. Not full power, Bruce had too much control for that. But enough force to achieve the intended effect. Master Chen's diaphragm seized. The air exploded from his lungs. His eyes went wide with panic as his body forgot how to breathe. His legs lost their strength and he dropped to his knees on the sand, gasping, clutching his midsection, completely helpless. The crowd was absolutely silent now. No one was laughing anymore. This had gone from entertaining to serious very quickly. Bruce knelt beside Master Chen, his voice quiet enough that only those very close could hear. Breathe slowly, small breaths. It will pass in about 30 seconds. Your diaphragm is in spasm from the celiac plexus strike. You'll be fine, but you need to stay calm. Master Chen couldn't respond. Couldn't do anything except focus on the terrifying sensation of not being able to breathe, in understanding that this man could have killed him with that strike if he'd wanted to. After about 45 seconds, Master Chen's breathing returned. He remained on his knees, no longer from physical necessity, but from the weight of his humiliation. Bruce stood up, addressing the crowd in a voice that carried across the beach. What you just saw is why you should never judge someone's capability by their appearance, why you should never assume you're the most skilled person around, and why real martial arts is about control and responsibility, not ego and demonstration. And if you're still watching this story, if you're fascinated by how Bruce Lee taught this lesson without causing permanent harm, hit that subscribe button one more time, because Bruce Lee's story is filled with moments like this. Where he proved his point while showing restraint and control. He looked down at Master Chen, who was slowly getting to his feet. You're not a master. You've got some basic training and a lot of ego. Real masters don't need to prove themselves by challenging random people on beaches. They don't need to call out strangers to build their reputation. Bruce paused, then offered something unexpected. If you want to actually learn martial arts, if you want to develop real skill, instead of just impressive-looking demonstrations, my school in Chinatown is open to serious students. But you'll need to check your ego at the door. The crowd parted as Bruce walked away, people asking for autographs, others filming his departure, everyone talking excitedly about what they'd just witnessed. Master Chen stood in the center of the cleared area. Now his students and admirers gone, his reputation destroyed, his ego shattered. Before we continue with what happened to Master Chen after this encounter, I need you to do something. If this story of instant karma, of a fake master getting humbled by someone he thought was nobody, resonates with you, please share this video. Send it to people who need to learn humility. Send it to martial artists who think they're unbeatable. Sharing helps spread the lesson that Bruce Lee taught on that beach. In the days following the beach incident, Master Chen's boardwalk martial arts business collapsed completely. Word spread through Venice Beach about what had happened. People who'd been his students told their friends. The amateur film footage circulated through Los Angeles martial arts schools. Nobody wanted to train with someone who'd been so thoroughly embarrassed after talking so much trash. Master Chen disappeared from Venice Beach within a week. Some said he left Los Angeles entirely, too humiliated to stay. Others claimed he actually did show up at Bruce's school in Chinatown, trying to train seriously, though whether Bruce accepted him as a student is unclear from available accounts. The film footage, grainy, and shaky because it was shot on amateur cameras, survived in private collections. Copies were made and passed around through martial arts communities. For years, it was one of those you had to know someone pieces of footage, shown at schools and tournaments but never widely distributed. In 1998, a martial arts magazine published a story about the Venice Beach incident, in interviewing several witnesses who'd been there that day. Their accounts all confirmed the same details. Master Chen had challenged someone he thought was a random beach visitor. That person turned out to be Bruce Lee. Bruce had demonstrated his speed twice, once with a light touch, once with a controlled strike that dropped Master Chen to his knees, and Bruce had walked away after offering genuine teaching rather than continuing to humiliate his challenger. And if you're still engaged with this story of instant karma and humility, hit that like button one more time, because engagement helps these true stories reach people who need to see that ego and skill are very different things. One of the witnesses, a tourist from Ohio named Robert Matthews, who'd filmed the encounter on his Super 8 camera, was interviewed in 2003. And I was just walking the boardwalk that day, he recalled. Saw this guy doing martial arts demonstrations, breaking boards, challenging people. He called out this small Asian guy in sunglasses, and I thought, oh man, that's not going to end well for the little guy. I started filming because I thought I'd capture this martial arts master, demonstrating his techniques. Matthews laughed, shaking his head at the memory. Then the small guy took off his sunglasses, and people started yelling, "Bruce Lee," and I realized I was about to film something way more interesting than a boardwalk demonstration. What happened next? I've watched that footage probably 1,000 times. Bruce's hand just appeared touching the guy's face. No wind-up, no visible motion, just suddenly there. Then the second strike where he actually hit the guy and put him down. That changed my whole understanding of martial arts. The interviewer asked what had impressed Matthews most about the encounter. Matthews thought for a moment. The speed was incredible, obviously, but what really stuck with me was Bruce's control. He could have seriously hurt that guy. Could have broken his nose with the first strike. Could have ruptured organs with the second strike. Instead, he used exactly enough force to make his point and teach a lesson. That's real mastery. Not the ability to hurt people, but the ability to choose not to hurt them while still proving your point. The footage Matthews shot was eventually donated to the Bruce Lee Foundation in 2005, becoming part of the official archive of Bruce Lee's documented encounters. When digitized and enhanced with modern technology, it showed clearly the speed difference between Bruce's strikes and Master Chen's attempted defenses, confirming all the witness accounts. If you've made it this far, if this story has given you a completely different perspective on how Bruce Lee handled challenges, leave one more comment telling me what lesson you take from this encounter. Is it about humility, about not judging by appearance, about the difference between real skill and fake mastery? Your comments help shape these discussions. Dan Inosanto, one of Bruce's students who heard about the incident shortly after it happened, was interviewed about it years later. Bruce told me about the Venice Beach thing, Dan recalled. He was actually annoyed with himself for engaging at all. He said the guy was just a hustler making money on the beach. And he'd let his own ego get involved by accepting the challenge even though he knew it was pointless. I asked him why he offered to teach the guy afterward, why he showed that kindness after being disrespected. Bruce said, "Because humiliation without education is just cruelty. If I destroy his ego and walk away, I'm just being mean. If I destroy his ego and offer a path forward, maybe he learns something." That answer, Dan reflected, told me more about Bruce's character than any of his films or demonstrations. He understood that martial arts mastery wasn't about proving you could beat people. It was about helping people become better. The story of the Venice Beach encounter became a teaching example in many martial arts schools, not about fighting technique, but about the dangers of ego, the importance of humility, and the responsibility that comes with real skill. Instructors would tell the story to students who were becoming overconfident, who were starting to think their few years of training made them invincible. Before we finish this story, I need to ask one final favor. If this account of Bruce Lee teaching instant karma to a fake master revealed something about his character beyond just fighting ability, if you learned that he combined devastating skill with genuine compassion, please share this video one more time. Send it to martial artists, send it to people who study leadership, send it to anyone who needs to understand that real strength includes knowing when to show mercy. Hit that subscribe button one final time if you haven't already, because Bruce Lee's story is filled with moments like this, any encounters where his character shined as brightly as his skill, where he proved that being the best fighter also meant being a better human being. In the end, the story of the Venice Beach encounter isn't really about Bruce Lee proving he was faster and more skilled than Master Chen. Everyone already knew Bruce was exceptional. The real story is about what happens when ego meets reality. When someone making assumptions based on appearance encounters someone whose capability far exceeds those assumptions. When fake mastery challenges real mastery and learns the difference instantly. Master Chen didn't know his opponent was Bruce Lee. He saw a small man in casual clothes and sunglasses, made assumptions based on size and appearance, let his ego convince him this would be an easy demonstration to impress tourists. And those assumptions lasted exactly as long as it took Bruce's fist to travel from his side to Master Chen's face, maybe half a second. After that, reality replaced assumption, humility replaced ego, and a supposed master learned he'd challenged someone operating at a completely different level. The amateur footage proves it happened. The witness statements confirm the details. The lesson remains relevant decades later. Never judge capability by appearance. Never assume you're the most skilled person around. And if you do make those mistakes, hope that the person teaching you the lesson has Bruce Lee's combination of devastating skill and compassionate restraint, because that combination is rare, and Master Chen was lucky to encounter it, even though his ego couldn't appreciate it at the time.